One argument used against outsourcers is the disconnect or the apparent disconnect in the approach between the thinkers within the organisation and the doers within the outsourcing organisation, and i.e. the gap between the management team and the operational teams. And this really being the consequence of having too many layers of hierarchy within outsourcing organisations. And part of the challenge that this presents to the client is that the doers are lacking in contextual knowledge. They aren't as familiar as the senior team with the challenges that are often experienced within F&A. They're not as familiar with the client. They don't know the history of the client or the real problems that the client might have been experiencing. And they maybe don't understand the client as much as the senior management team, the thinkers, might do. A, because of the relationship with the client, but also B, because of the career experience of the senior management team. To what degree is this a problem in EXL, and what is being done to avoid it?
It is a problem that every organization faces as they scale up, because given that it's a people business, eventually we can have the methodologies, the tools, but it is the will and skill of people who actually do those transactions and the first level of supervisors who manage those transactions, which is important. So it's important that you can sustain the culture of customer focus and delivery right through. And that's something that, we believe that we do well. We've been doing well till date, but as we scale up, the challenge keeps going up and up, and so we'll have to figure out new structures and new mechanisms of doing that. On the contextual knowledge piece, I guess there are two kinds of contextual knowledge which become a challenge. The first is the knowledge of the industry and the knowledge of accounting practices which are prevalent for that industry and for that geography. So that's the first contextual knowledge. And the second contextual knowledge is the knowledge about the specific client in terms of the client's needs, the client's priorities and prerogatives, and so on and so forth. What we found was that when you start looking at doing operations from a lower cost base, they don't necessarily have a good understanding of the industry, of the target market. So again, using insurance and F&A as an example, if there is an F&A operation from an insurance company in the US which gets delivered from India or the Philippines, the people who deliver that from India and Philippines don't have a good understanding of how insurance works in the US, or what are the F&A accounting practices in the US. And the cross section, which is very interesting, which is within insurance, how does an F&A operation work? So the contextual knowledge is missing. To handle that, what we have done is we have invested a significant dollar value in running education systems. So we run training academies in EXL. So for example, we have an insurance academy and we also have an F&A academy. The insurance academy has tied up with institutes in the US and UK, and these are certification courses that we provide to people who actually do the transactions and to the leadership who manages those transactions, so that they can start understanding in much more detail of the insurance industry in these target geographies. We also run an F&A academy. And this is an academy which focuses on, again, has tied up with institutes in the US and UK to understand, for example, US GAAP in a much better way. And these are, again, certification courses that we provide to our courses. And our employees tend to, over time, start building a career in that domain or in F&A through those education systems. This allows our teams, both at the processing level as well as the first, second, and third levels of leadership, to, over time, improve the contextual knowledge of the industry and of F&A in that industry, in that target geography, which has been hugely useful for us. And our clients see that and appreciate it. Our clients even participate in it. So when they actually come to our delivery locations, they sometimes come and provide guest lectures on specific subjects to our people who can actually help appreciate that better. So that's the investment for improving the contextual knowledge of the industry and the geography. The second part is the contextual knowledge of the client and understanding the client's priorities. EXL has a fairly robust account management structure. We follow a two-in-the-box philosophy. There is a delivery lead who's got responsibility for delivery to that client and is more or less dedicated at some level in the hierarchy. And then there is an account lead, and this is typically a person who's operating from the client geography, most of the times at the client site for the strategic clients. These two guys put together have the combined responsibility to make sure that the client interests are taken care of, that we are proactive, that we understand the client's concerns, issues, not only at a tactical level, but also at the strategic level, and we can respond accordingly. There's a significant investment that we make in this account management structure, which is a combination of delivery lead and the account management lead, to make sure that we are aligned with the client. Because we do understand if we cannot stay ahead of the curve in terms of understanding our clients' changing requirements and respond to that, we will get commoditized, and they will start seeing us only as a provider who provides a certain work at a certain cost. We want to see them as a strategic partners, and so this investment is important. I guess some of the players in the market, some of the providers in the market who have over time started commoditizing and productizing their work, which means when they are providing these services, it's really productized and it's a standard one-size-fits-all stuff. That this is how we do accounts payable and, take it or leave it. They do have a challenge. We don't have that challenge because we understand that accounts payable for one client can be very different from accounts payable for another client based on the geography, the industry, and the client's priorities, which comes in through these mechanisms that we have established. So we believe that the challenge is there as we scale, but with these structures that we put in place, we should be able to counter most of those.
So you talk quite a bit in that response about having a bespoke service that you offer to your clients, and offering a bespoke service comes at a cost. So how competitive are you commercially to your clients when they're looking at your services versus the services of another outsourcer?
That's a very interesting question. There's a lot of investment we're making in our operations. I spoke about the training academies, which are education systems. This is not about process training or how to do transactions. This is about investing in our employees to over time build up their contextual knowledge. We spoke about the account management structure. We spoke about the leadership, which is dedicated to key clients at fairly senior levels, and that could be even to the vice president level. So the structure, the academies, the account management structure, and various other components do add to the cost. The way I would profile our pricing would be that we are very competitively priced for clients who understand the value that we bring to the table. If a client is looking at outsourcing based purely on cost and is buying productized standard service and is not very keen to talk about the value, the relationship, and the strategic partnership, then they may find that we are not very competitively priced. So it's a matter of what the client's looking for. So our pricing, as I said, is competitive for the clients who understand the value that we bring to the table. And I think there's enough and more market, addressable market for this kind of a customized, valuable service.